What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sixers Post Game Live. Sixers got the game, the game two victory over the Brooklyn Nets, 96-81. We're breaking it down. Top takeaways, player of the game, much more. Joining me, my man Tiago at Tiago PHL. What's up, man?
What's going on, Chris? Yeah, it's a stark change from what we saw on Saturday. This is a much tougher game all around. I thought that there was some alarm bells with the way that the Sixers played in the first half, but ultimately talent wins, and we may have handicapped a little bit understated. Let me better phrase that. How poorly the Nets can be sometimes. They're a horrendous shooting team, and they made it much easier for the Sixers to come back tonight. That's for sure.
Yep. I mean, there's so much to unravel in this one. The Nets' poor shooting in the second half, or the Sixers' elite defense in the second half. The Nets had 35 points total in the second half, leading the way. A dominant third quarter from the Philadelphia 76ers, man. I thought they finally were able to get Joel Embiid involved on the elbow. The Sixers did a much better job moving the ball faster, doing a better job anticipating closeouts. Again, the Nets shot 6 of 18 in the third quarter, and it didn't stop there. In the fourth quarter, Paul Reed had another moment. Joel Embiid's defense was absolutely incredible, and throughout all of that, TYRESE MAXEY stepping up because James Harden was absolute garbage for the majority of this game. So much to unravel, but like Chris Moore says here, Maxey needed a big-time scorer. Needed to be a big-time scorer, and he did. Let's talk about TYRESE MAXEY. 33 points in this one. Was absolutely sensational from start to finish. I thought he actually flashed some really good defense as well. 13 of 23 from the field, 3 rebounds, 0 turnovers, a team-leading plus 17. Tiago, throw it to you, man. What was your take on TYRESE MAXEY today?
Yeah, I think that the Sixers probably don't even pull this game out if Maxey is a 0, primarily because Harden was so bad tonight. But we talked about it going into the series, how he was likely going to have a very big matchup with Brooklyn, simply because there's just going to be wide open lanes, wide open shooting opportunities for him with the way that Brooklyn's going to defend Embiid, right? So when you look at his shot profile, I think he took, 6 or 7 corner 3 shots today. Made a bunch of them. He's one of the better corner 3 shooters in the NBA. Yes, 6. So he was 4 for 6 from the corner. He's basically automatic from there. So the Sixers were smart enough to put him in that role against Brooklyn, who gives up a ton of corner 3. So I think overall, when you look at how he contributed to the win today, it was primarily working off the ball and really just getting those corner 3s, attacking closeouts, off-ball movement, transition, right? The Brooklyn just doesn't have any type of answer for TYRESE MAXEY. I thought he was sensational throughout the entire game. But again, when you look at the box score, right, 0 assists from TYRESE MAXEY. And that's not a criticism of Maxey, but you're not getting the playmaking from him. You're getting the scoring. And the playmaking has to fall on James Harden. Yep. And the Sixers got no playmaking from James Harden tonight, and they got no scoring from James Harden tonight. And if they want to continue on in their journey to the championship, games like tonight simply cannot happen against Boston, against Miami, or against Milwaukee, or the Sixers are going home. And it's been a staple of Harden's career with Houston, Philly in particular. That series against Miami, very passive. It was more the same tonight. But yeah, I think for Maxey's point of view, it was just a typical TYRESE MAXEY. Felt like a preseason, regular season game for him. He was out there just doing his thing. So,
yeah. Let's go to some comments real quick. Keep them coming. Chris Moore says Embiid scored 20 on a bad game for him. I disagree. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. Game 3 might be the game we lose. If not, it might be a clean sweep. Love it. Embiid is still perfect from the free throw line. Quentin Moore's in the house. What's going on, Quentin, man? I'd like to see a sweep, but the Nets will get at least one game. Tobias Harris played a solid game. Absolutely. We're going to get into Tobias Harris very soon. Not a bad game at all from Embiid. He got double, triple teamed, and it opened up the offense. I thought this was the best non-scoring Joel Embiid game in a long, long time. I was just so impressed. We're going to get it. His maturity, the MVP Joel Embiid was on center stage today. We're not touching on Joel Embiid just yet. Real quick on some comments more. Nearly had a triple-double. Fans wanted playoff Toby to come off the bench. Yes, we actually talked about that during the preview, and my gosh, that looks so ridiculous because Jalen McDaniels, you can't even find him on the goddamn court, Tiago. You don't even know if he's playing or not.
I'm still trying to find out what Jalen McDaniels actually does out on the court. If somebody knows, please shoot me a message, an email, a DM, because I was told this guy was going to be a two-way superstar here. And I think he's been a zero-way superstar with Philly so far. I think his defense has been highly overrated. His offense has been a catastrophe. So, yeah, I mean, he's got size. He's athletic. He does some fun things on the court. He's been absolutely terrible. He was terrible again today.
All right. Let me get the shot chart up. We are going to talk about Joel Embiid here. Again, was double teamed, triple teamed throughout the majority of the game, just like game one. He finished the game. He did have 8 turnovers, but he was plus 14, finished with 20 points, 19 boards, 7 assists. But what was the standout for me when it comes to Joel Embiid in game 2 was his defense. His rim protection was elite, man. There were so many times when he was just swarming the paint, and I was just beyond impressed. Tiago, what was your take on Embiid while I get the shot chart up?
Yeah, defensively, he stands out in a massive way. He has been fantastic as a rim protector. It's absolutely fantastic. I think that also another thing he's been really great at is rebounding. You know, we've talked about how Joel's rebound throughout the course of the regular season tends to waver, and it's just a sheer fact that some games he just doesn't want to rebound. He doesn't have the energy, which is fine. I mean, it's an 82-game season, but you expect rebounding performances from Embiid in the postseason like you got today. He's been absolutely a monster on the glass. And from the standpoint of the scoring, right, because you can look at the scoreboard in the first 2 games and you're not getting the 40-point, 50-point Embiid performances. But I think to your point, Chris, he's been very smart with the basketball as a whole, making sure that the ball moves when he's getting double team and even triple team. So I think from that standpoint, he's also been very good. I do think that there's a bigger point to be made about today's game, which we can talk about, which is how Brooklyn made a dent into Philly's offense was when they went small. So when they put Dorian Finney-Smith at center, Dorian Finney-Smith is 6'7", 6'7" at center. The Sixers were in multiple possessions in the second quarter with Embiid, with Harden, with Maxey on the court, where they couldn't generate any type of open looks for Joel. And that's something that teams are going to put on their scouting report, because when you talk about Boston, when you talk about Miami, these teams can go small and be even more effective in small lineups. So Brooklyn's small lineup, yeah, it's small, but they're pretty terrible. They can't shoot. They just kind of, do their thing defensively. But the Sixers struggling against that group was a little bit eye-opening for me. Mm-hmm. And it speaks to, how can the Sixers get Joel better looks when teams go small, because that's going to be an alternative that other teams are going to deploy as well.
Steven's in the house saying anything that gets Harden's foot rest and keeps JoJo healthy is a plus. I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with James Harden as well, who really struggled in this one. Like when they're going small like that, you got to have players that can throw entry passes and find Embiid, or Doc's got to get Joel moving at least somewhat, rather than having 4 guys just standing and staring at Embiid. Yeah, and get him the ball moving towards the basket, right?
I think that's exactly it. Can you count how many times they ran pick and roll again for the second straight game? I don't think they
What's going on with that, Tiago? There's none.
But Chris, it was the same story last postseason. We even wrote about it. Their pick and roll possessions plummet when the postseason started. People are going to say, well, he gets doubled a lot. But you should still be able to run side pick and roll, middle pick and roll, man. Like, that should not be deterrent to you being able to get in his offense. They have a 6'7" center out there. You don't get into your offense. You have Embiid out on the perimeter, try to initiate offense, right? Guy can get down a low block. Miami did that a ton in the postseason last year, and it wiped the Sixers offense off the map. And for Brooklyn to have the same type of impact today with a much more limited roster was a little bit concerning because, like I said, Boston's going to put that out there, man. And they're going to put that out there with some high-level players. Like Grant Williams can play small. They got all those wings. So it's just something that when scouting, right, so we talk about the regular season is one thing. You play Detroit off a back-to-back, they're not going to scout the Sixers. You're playing Brooklyn, you can really tell they're scouting the Sixers. And I thought that they did a better job in the second half of playing off the doubles, but that 7-8 minute run in the second quarter was, the Sixers should be down by 20 points in that run. If the Nets hit any shots, it would have been down by 20. So, just something to keep an eye on moving forward for sure.
If there was anything we learned from the 2022-23 season this year, it was Embiid and him developing in that mid-range. He was absolutely borderline elite in the mid-range, in the pick and pop game with James Harden. How many mid-range shots have we seen from Joel Embiid in this series so far? He took freaking one from the top of the key right there. You probably go back to game one and he maybe had like one or two. That's a huge part of Embiid's game.
And it was self-created. It was self-created. It wasn't even like Harden getting him that look. It was basically him just taking on his guy and pulling up. So you just want to see more Harden and Embiid two-man action. That is why you won 54 games. That is why you won 54 or 56 games. I don't know how many games you won anymore. Anyways, that's why. For you to just completely go away from that, it's a little bit – doesn't make a lot of sense. So, and, finish the game with 96 points to hold as a team. That's below level league average offense. So,
Freddie Burns, my man from Party on Broad. What's going on, Freddie? Says you can't run pick and roll against that defense and the way they switch, or at least it's much tougher. Got to get Harden mid-range going again. The only thing I'll counter with that is it's only going to get worse against Boston. And if they go heavy ISO again, Doc's just going to bury his own grave in round two again.
If they switch, right, if they got Claxton on Harden, man, you're a superstar high-level scorer. You got to attack the hoop. And you got to show them, hey, if you guys are going to switch this, I'm going to go right back in and attack the hoop. So, it falls a little bit on your point guard. But there's no way you can tell me that the Nets should be dictating how the Sixers run their offense. It should be the other way around.
Yep, absolutely agree. Steven says, I was too busy watching my son. Oh, nice. Congratulations. Gets 2 walks. A game-winning RBI.
Wow.
Steven, well done, sir. That's amazing. That's what matters the most right there. Freddie says, exactly. Harden should have any matchup he wants, man. He was absolutely garbage. But let's talk about a guy that has had 2 back-to-back games here. Tobias Harris, efficient playoff. Tobias Harris is here. He had 20 points, 8 of 14 from the floor, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Insanely active off the ball, moving, cutting to the basket, getting putbacks, hitting a corner 3 in a big moment. What was your take on Tobias Harris?
Doing exactly what we want him to do, Chris. I'm just checking up his numbers real quick. 12 rebounds as well. So you saw him even be more active on the glass. That's not a usual Tobias Harris stat line, the 12 rebounds. But I thought he went away from the over-dribbling he was doing a little bit in game 1. Just let the offense come to himself. I thought he was very good at that today. Transition, we talk about this. He's always going to run in transition. He had a couple of very easy buckets. There were a couple of times where he cut off and beat doubles, and he's a really good cutter. I wish the Sixers did more of that with him in the offense, but he's smart enough to understand, like, hey, these guys going over there to help him. Let me just get into space and attack the hoop. So I just think that, that's the kind of player you need, man. If you're getting Maxey at 30 points and you're having Tobias at 20-plus points, all you need is Harden to join the party, man. That's all you need. And you have the makings of a championship-level offense. So I think for the most part, the trio did their part. It just falls a little bit on Harden to carry his load as well. But, I feel like people are waiting for Tobias to fall off in catastrophic fashion. He's just not that player. He's never going to be the guy who's going to give you the 3 to 5 points. He's also going to be the guy who's going to give you 30, 35 points either. So
Yeah.
30, 15 to 20. That's what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, I thought Tobias's energy in that third quarter when the Sixers took all the momentum from the Nets was massive. He had a putback, he had a steal and bucket. That was a big part of this game, and that's how the Sixers broke it open. No Nog, no entry says Tobias started Dunky too. How about Tobias Harris finishing strong in the paint, man? I'd love to see it.
He
Love
had something. I don't know if you caught that. He had something to say to the crowd. I don't know if they were booing him or what. After that, it was a corner three, I think, in the fourth quarter. He started pointing to the crowd, I think telling them to stop talking or something like that. I don't know. Obviously, I was not at the game. I didn't know what's going on, but there was some friction there.
Cool. I didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna watch this game again for sure. Ryan Rose says Harden and Harris switching play on Claxton, having 12 rebounds to dribbling the transition into offense and double screens. Okay. How much did letting them play contribute to the result? I'm not sure what you mean, Steven. Not sure what you mean.
Maybe the fouling, not calling the free throws.
Yeah, that was a bizarre first half, right? Like there was what 32 personal fouls in game one and over 20 in the first half. There was a lot of whistles in the first half. Then in the second half, it seemed like it died down, especially inside the paint.
Yeah.
Like they stopped making the calls and let them play. And if that, that's probably a huge part of why the Sixers got going.
Yeah, but they finished with only 16 free throws, which is well below Philly's average. So, yeah, to Steven's point, I do think the refs let the whistle go a little bit. And you know what? I like it, man. I like it. It makes it for a more watchable game. There's more flow to it. I know the Sixers are built on getting to the line, but as a spectator, I kind of enjoy when it's a back and forth kind of game.
Yep. Freddie Burns says 46 to 22 paint points in a non-dominant Embiid paint night. Absolutely. Here we go, Thiago. Let's do this. Medium Giant says Paul Reed contributed to that run. Let's talk about back-to-back huge games from B-Ball Paul. Dude is making a name for himself in round one. Paul Reed had 6 points, 3 of 4 from the field in nearly 11 minutes of playing time, 2 turnovers, a block, 3 rebounds. But yet again, just like game one, his energy, his pairing alongside James Harden, he looks confident. He looks energized. What was your take on Paul Reed?
I thought that when he had that illegal screen and then he followed up with a turnover, I was like, this is the last time we're going to see Paul Reed.
Yeah.
You can already see Doc losing his mind on the bench. So glad Doc stuck with him, and we keep living on the Paul Reed victory tour. One of the things that I've really noticed about Reed, which I think it's been a testament to his own improvement, particularly playing with Harden, is how his hands have gotten much stronger, and he's just been way, way better at catching the ball in traffic, finishing in traffic. I remember a couple years ago, even last year, he would fumble the ball or catch and hesitate. Now it's just a one continuous motion from the moment Harden gets in the ball all the way to the hoop. And it makes it really hard for defenses to close in on him. And that's why you're just seeing him get a ton of easy buckets around the basket. So I think that's one of the things that has really improved as his games progressed. And I do think that at times Harden kind of wants him, instead of rolling all the way to the rim, to kind of sit in almost like a pick and pop scenario around the paint and just have a little jump shot where Joel usually gets his, because that roll is not going to be there every time. So I do think that Reed's next step as a developmental player is to develop that put shot from 6 to 8 feet where you just catch and shoot, kind of like the way DeAndre Ayton plays with the Suns. So we'll see, but I mean, guy plays another 10 plus minutes today, man. The Sixers break even. That's a pretty good deal.
Absolutely. Not enough scoring on the Sixers team. No chance in the second round. Oh man, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
We don't have to go there, but I'm looking at the box score. I'm going to go 22 minutes from PJ Tucker, 23 minutes from Jalen McDaniels, 13 minutes from Niang, 0 across the boards from those 3 guys. That's a ton of minutes for 0 points. So at what point do you start bringing in guys like Daniel House or a guy who played pretty well in the regular season, Shake Milton, who hasn't been immediately eliminated from the rotation? I want to see these guys, man. They deserve some run.
But then you look at Boston's rotations; they play 8 guys, the entire game. They don't go 8, 9, 10 deep. Like they just have their guys. It's a totally different system out there.
It is, but I do think in this series you can still play with guys. Shake Milton had a very good regular season by his standards. He shot the ball well, shot creation. He's a really good defender off screen. So I think that they shouldn't just entirely eliminate him from the rotation right from the start. And once again, you're getting absolutely nothing from Niang. Just nothing. Yeah. I mean, the moment he's out there, teams are targeting him defensively. You're not getting rebounding. You're not getting 3-point shooting. What are we doing,
Yeah. The Niang cannot play in that Boston series. That cannot happen. And I think we talked about that in game 1. Thiago was like, he's playing.
Of course he's playing.
Steven says, looking at the halftime numbers, we're winning everything except for threes. Killed him on the glass. Dude, we were losing at halftime. And my take on the halftime was as bad as it gets when it comes from James Harden, yet they were still only down 5. To me, that was the Nets' opportunity to have a much bigger lead. And the fact that they were even within an arm's reach was the take for me. No Nog, no entry says Niang has a quick release, but everything else is awful. And then Shake is so slow on D, but Glenn is kind of screwing Shake a little bit.
Can't be slower than Niang.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. All right. Where do we go from here? Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we jump into player of the game?
I just think that, again, overall, when you take away the fact that the Nets are just an atrocious basketball team on many levels, particularly shooting-wise, I do think that the Sixers defense, once again, deserves a little bit of credit. So I think, obviously, Embiid being a big factor of that, but I thought that they had a much better game plan for Mikal Bridges today, right? So we saw Bridges kind of go off the first game. They switched up defenses on him. They had Tobias a little bit on him. Then they had Embiid play up the level of the screen. So it took away that dribble handoff action into the free throw line. So you can tell that the Sixers did a little bit of scouting on Bridges. He was a much less of a factor today. So I think that overall defensively, there are a lot of positive signs around the way that Maxey's competing, obviously. There's Melton. So I think that big picture, they look cohesive on defense. And there wasn't a game, again, where you saw a lot of breakdowns on defense. And that was something that happened a lot in the regular season. So give credit to the coaching staff and give credit to the players. And rebounding, they have been on an absolute tear. So let's hope that continues.
This is the Nets shot chart in the second half. That's a lot of red, Thiago.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, Chris. You want to play small, right? So you want to play small with Finney-Smith and O'Neal. These guys can't shoot a lick. So, the fact that they can deploy that lineup. Now, when you put Boston out there, they have Grant Williams who can shoot, right? Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, these guys can't shoot. So it's a different level of small lineups. And the Sixers have to absolutely make these teams pay on the offensive end when they have a 6'7" center out there. You cannot go multiple empty possessions because these teams, not the Nets, but Boston and Miami, will make you pay on the offensive end. These guys will move the ball around and get open shots. So that's something I just think teams are going to go to more and more with the Sixers.
Larry's in the house. What's going on, Larry? Niang has to be the worst defender I have ever seen. I mean, multiple times they drag Niang off screens to the key just to attack him. He's dog food out there. I just don't know how Doc justifies it.
Yo, man. Speaking to the choir right
now. Steven says, I like that we are winning without Harden and JoJo going off. That's a take, right? You know, we were talking about this before going live. Like, no question, this is what we're going to see from Boston. Boston's going to try and take out Harden, which they have done, and they're going to try and take out Embiid. The Sixers role players are going to have to get it done. You look at Maxey. Maxey has had significant struggles against Boston this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is a step in the right direction, and that momentum carries into that Boston series, because the Sixers absolutely need Maxey scoring, 18, 20 a game in that.
But Chris, here's the thing. There's a high likelihood that Maxey's not going to score 20 points a game. And if that's the case, you're paying James Harden to play that role. And it's just that the way that the cookie's going to crumble against Boston, right? So, yeah, I'm not at all worried about Joel Embiid not scoring. Yeah, I am a little bit worried about James Harden not scoring, because we talked about this, how this is going to be a little bit of a struggle for Harden to score. But games like tonight just cannot happen against Boston. Just cannot happen. And he's got to be able to get to the line. I thought that he was aggressive early, then he just completely stopped attacking the basket. And it just speaks to the mentality a little bit of the player, right? I think he calls it a loss too early in the game when he should be attacking, man. I mean, you're going to get to the line. So, I mean, games like today against Boston are going to be guaranteed losses. Yeah. Guaranteed losses. There's just no other way around it.
Steven says more Maxey off the ball. Let's roll into player of the game. Thiago, who's your player of the game?
Yeah, sorry, Chris. I got to take this one. Layup. I left you with the layup last game, but this one I got to take because I thought that Maxey was sensational. Sensational, man. This guy is it's becoming one of the most reliable spot-up shooters in the NBA. And that is something that when we watched him in college, I never in my mind envisioned it to be the case. I mean, it speaks to his development as a player, the work he's put in. You just keep wondering, like, how far back can he shoot from the three-point line, right? You envision like a 4-point line, and can he make that shot consistently, kind of like Dame does? I think that kind of like his offensive game is almost balanced from a shooting standpoint. And, I mean, it's almost automatic, man, especially from the corner. The Sixers rely on his shooting so much, and he delivers most of the time.
Yeah. Larry says, I don't know if it was me, just me, guys, but I felt Joel being the ball up, bringing the ball up really helped us a few times because the defense couldn't set Joel. Did a lot before the Harden trade. Would like to see more of it.
Yeah, but I think I finished 8 turnovers too. I think was the total. Yeah. So there's the good and there's the evil in that. I think through the regular season, I think you can do that more frequently. In the playoffs, it gets a little trickier. I do think they can mix and match some of that into their offense, but ultimately it's about how did you get here? Harden and B, two-man action. That has to be the staple of your offense. And if you can't get into your offense against the Nets, then yeah.
Yep. Quentin says Howie Roseman and his cap hit skills. Congratulations, Jalen Hurts. Well deserved. Big news there. Can Maxey eclipse Trey? Interesting question.
As a shooter, he probably already has, but as a playmaker, shot creator, I don't think he'll ever get there.
I don't think that's ever been like. I've never. That was always kind of potentially his ceiling, but like in my head, he's always been a microwave scorer. That's always been.
And that's awesome. I mean, that's exactly what the Sixers need.
Absolutely. Quinn says Maxey doesn't play create, and no nog, no entry says they hacked him with no calls. I don't care about those turnovers. I don't either. Joel Embiid is my player of the game. His gravity on defense won the Sixers this game. That's just my opinion. Yeah. I thought he was incredibly active on the glass, rim protecting. He was just incredible. That was just, again, the best non-scoring Joel Embiid game I have seen in a long time. And I'm just continually impressed with his ability to anticipate the double team, the triple team, get the ball out fast. He's just grown so much, Thiago.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched that Lakers game yesterday against Memphis, but it was some of the same from Anthony Davis. Again, I'm not comparing Anthony Davis to Joel Embiid, but you see why teams put a high premium on players like that, because Davis annihilated Jaren Jackson Jr. And it was a big reason why they won that game. And you're seeing why the Sixers put a big premium on Embiid, obviously beyond the scoring. This guy is a game-altering player on defense, something that the Denver Nuggets do not have, and that's why they continuously fall short of their goal, and other teams that don't have. So I think you see why guys like that get paid the big bucks and win MVP awards, man.
Love it. Which should be going to Embiid in like a week or two, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. That wraps it up. Thank you, everyone, for commenting. Please be sure to smash that like button if you love the Philadelphia 76ers. Tiago, where can we find you, man? Plugs, final thoughts on game 2.
Yeah, man. You can find me at Tiago PHL on Twitter. The Sixers keep on trucking along, 2 up, 2 down. I think they're probably going to split in Brooklyn and finish off at home, probably at the weekend, right? Maybe Sunday, I think the game will be. So, yeah, they just need to wrap this up, man. Last year they played around with Toronto a little bit, and then Embiid got hurt. There's no room for that in this series. They're a much better team than Brooklyn. It's not even remotely close. So split in Brooklyn, finish at home, and wait to see maybe the Bucks collapse. Who knows?
I'm trying to find when round 2 starts, because I know this is a major violation, but we've already got a lot planned for the NFL draft next week, Thursday and Friday. And if the Boston series overlaps with that, I'm going to be a hot mess.
What are you going to do, Chris?
I have no idea. That's just my worst case scenario. That's my nightmare. That cannot happen. There cannot be a Boston Philly game next Thursday or next Friday, period. But I did a show here that I premiered with Mark Schofield, breaking down the best running backs in the NFL draft. Go check that out. We did a BGN show on top linebackers. That'll be coming out tomorrow. And just trying to get ready for the draft, man. Feels weird, Tiago. It's my first year in a long time. I have not covered the NBA draft. Long time. I'm talking like a decade.
I think we'll be okay this year because I think they're not even going to participate in it. But as the team matures, I think that's something that, yeah, that's right. That's something we have to go back to eventually, because eventually they have to start reloading some of their roster with picks. But
yeah. All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please be sure to give Tiago a follow on Twitter at TiagoPHL. Best Sixers, period. Twitter, period. Follow, period. Ever, period. I am Dabs. Again, Sixers in 5. It's looking pretty likely right now. So for Tiago, for myself, we'll catch you on the next post game. Stay awesome, everyone.